I never really intended to be a philosopher, theologian, or any such admittedly pretentious title. My formal education is not in the fine arts or higher study of the divine, whether that be occult or mainstream. While I have dabbled in the meaning of life, and I have always been deeply religious in one way or another, the circumstances of my life drove me to other pursuits. Yet the path that I have walked has trained me as a software developer, which is arguably one of the closest things to a modern-day magician that we have. As a programmer, my job was to translate ideas into action. I do not work with wood or blades, but rather information and systems. My job was to predict and understand the needs and challenges of potentially millions of users, using the ancient practices of salve, the division into component pieces, and coagula, the pooling together of many to form a new creation. I designed journeys, experiences, and tools for souls that I would never meet. As a member of the IT field, I have watched firsthand as modern technology has exploded in the last 2 decades, and how deeply it has impacted the entire human experiment, for good and for ill. We live in what I believe to be critical times. We are transforming as a civilization, as a culture, and as a species. The march of progress from agriculture to the Industrial Revolution has led to increasing empowerment of man through automation and amplification of our capabilities. We have transcended our previous limitations several times, becoming a people almost unrecognizable from earlier states. In the earliest days, we learned to communicate with each other using increasingly advanced symbology. From grunts to whistles to pictograms to the structure of writing, we, over time, became better at externalizing our ideas and thoughts in a form for other people and other times. This allowed us to learn not just as individuals, but as a collective. Writing went from record-keeping to a medium for the transmission and synthesis of ideas. From this ability to record and preserve arose the scientific method. We discovered over time that the universe produces meaningful, replicatable results. This catapulted our ability to understand our universe and leverage it to our advantage. Applicable science gave way to industry, and in this, a transformation of the human race began that continues to this day. This discovery, and many of its stages, were born from more mystical roots. The tradition of the Hermetic alchemists is one of the direct ancestors of many of the sciences that we understand today. The discoveries of alchemy were stripped of its less demonstrable truths and reinterpreted as chemistry. Over time, as those in power needed something to vilify, they took what was left within the traditional understanding of alchemy, that being the more spiritual portions, and mocked and dismissed them as heresy. The rise of Christendom and the Muslim world further warped our understanding of the spiritual and the divine. Regardless of the value of biblical teachings, the systems of control of their time worked diligently to promote aspects of tradition that reinforced their views, and eradicated and ridiculed everything else. That said, this is not a slight upon the Christians or Muslim traditions themselves. Most of the leaders of the Hermetic and other mystical traditions come from these larger frameworks, and the secrets that they speak are universal. This understanding is not a rejection of Christ, but rather a full embracing of his message. In the modern day, all religions have come under the criticism of a materialist paradigm. The sin of these faiths that I speak of is how they have been used and warped to be an instrument of power, not the kernels of wisdom that these modern cynical traditions embed as bait for the masses. However, as I hope that you will see through my work, the secrets of the great masters of the past were not fantastical, but practical. What is often dismissed today as magic and spirit was always intended to speak of higher truths, not deluded thinking. I have spent many years both learning and practicing various paths of spiritual fulfillment, but also practical understanding of systems and people. And I hope that my work will stand as both a culmination of all of my findings and a foundation for philosophical discussion going forward. One thing I must make clear on the outset: nothing in my message should be regarded as the truth. I, like many before me, believe that the truth cannot be contained in a book, a video, a channel, a message. We humans do not experience actual reality. Everything that we experience about the world is because it interacts with our sensory systems. All light that we see must pass through our eyes, and that lens impacts the way that we interpret what is real. Our understanding of light is bounded compared to the actual spectrum of electromagnetic waves. And beyond that, flaws in the mind or brain can further change our perception in ways such as color blindness. All things that humans experience must first pass through lenses for us to be able to comprehend them. We do not see the light directly, but only through these lenses. Truth is the light, and thus truth itself cannot be conveyed or understood directly, only through the surrounding context of such lenses. Everything that we comprehend must go through our own internal frame of reference. Without any frame of reference, stimuli is just noise. There are many optical illusions that demonstrate this idea effectively, and while this is true about physical light, it is also true with ideas and internal reality. All perception requires a frame of reference, and this frame defines how that information is interpreted and accepted. The same criticism could be seen as a stinging rebuke from an intimidating superior, or a playful ribbing among friends, depending on the situation. The very same information can lead to wildly different conclusions due to the underlying assumptions within the receiver. A single person can respond very differently based on their emotional state and frame of mind. Frames of thinking can be referred to as paradigms or models of understanding, and that is what these videos aim to be. A series of paradigms. The model is not the truth, only a way of organizing and relating to the information. If all goes well, something in my videos will likely challenge you. And the more deeply held the belief, the more challenging it will be. Always remember that nothing in my work is designed to be the truth, but rather an exploration of ideas through various paradigms, to guide the seeker down the path of discovery and synthesis. The goal here is not to disprove or discredit any given belief, but rather to look back with a modern lens at ancient wisdom to see what can be distilled into our real, physical reality. Knowledge is power, and systems of power that can most effectively subjugate those under them are more successful than those that do not. Over time, the nature of civilization is to suppress such knowledge, but the truth cannot help but be resonant. We live in times of unprecedented power. We as individuals have capabilities at our fingertips that entire civilizations of old could not comprehend. But so too have the systems to control us only increased in sophistication. Over time, the wisdom of old has been undermined and corrupted. The institutions and human nature designed to empower us turned against us. That which is wise has been made to feel as foolish. The goal of these videos isn't to teach you that magic, spirits, and gods are real, but that the very notion of them should not be seen as fantastic. The meaning of these words have been pushed so far from their intent that any wisdom that they contain is unobtainable. Our paradigms and filters have been built for us through time to reject these ideas. And yet they continue. For these are fundamental truths, and while one can be turned away from the light, one cannot make the light disappear. The danger of the path of enlightenment is delusion, a threat that has been commonly used throughout time and across various religions, both intentionally and incidentally. My work is designed to deconstruct our ideas of the magical and ground them in the practical. From there, we can better understand the traditions of magic and unlock the value that they once had for our people. Knowledge is power indeed, but this dual-edged sword cuts both ways. Those who wield it can not only empower themselves, but also deceive others, hiding behind a veil of mysticism or pseudoscience. Throughout history, truth has been distorted, intentionally or unintentionally, to manipulate and control. We must recognize this danger, lest we become unwitting pawns in someone else's game. It is precisely this risk that motivates my quest to uncover the underlying principles, rather than simply perpetuating flashy manifestations. Learning physics by being shot at with bullets is a flawed approach, to say the least. Similarly, we must move beyond mere ritualistic practices, superficial incantations, or trendy buzzwords. Instead, we should strive to understand the fundamental laws, patterns, and mechanisms that govern these seemingly mysterious forces. Only then can we hope to harness their potential responsibly, avoiding the pitfalls of delusion and exploitation. While certain modern interpretations of ancient principles can be enticing, they often lack depth and nuance. Take, for example, the laws of attraction, a notion that, while rooted in legitimate esoteric ideas, has been distorted to promise unrealistic results. The digital age offers us power and capabilities far beyond what the mystics could even comprehend, but their tools and insights are still profound for us. We can synthesize methods of magic with the tools of the modern age to better shape our lives and transform our culture and ourselves. But with great power comes great responsibility, and we have been trained to be irresponsible. The key isn't to reject the power, but to reject the poison in your mind that turns that power against your own interest. My work is put out into the world not only to challenge you, but also so that I may be challenged. What I've collected here is my understanding of this to the best of my ability. I challenge anyone who wishes to explore these topics further to reach out either for clarification or for correction. As above, so below. As within, so without.